A man died pretending to be John Wayne. Hollywood decided his life was worth $5,000. John Wayne disagreed. Hollywood in the 1960s was a world balanced between two eras. The old studio system was cracking, but its giants still walked the earth. Massive sound stages, powerful executives, and carefully controlled images ruled the industry. This was a time when movies didn't just entertain America, they defined it. And standing at the very center of that cultural force was John Wayne. To millions, he wasn't just an actor. He was a symbol of toughness, certainty, and moral clarity. When John Wayne walked onto the screen, audiences felt reassured. Evil would be confronted, cowards would be exposed, order would be restored. They called him the Duke. Wayne's presence carried weight because it felt authentic. He didn't play heroes like a man pretending. He played them like a man who believed in them. His walk, his voice, his stare, all of it projected an unbreakable confidence. To the American public, John Wayne represented a world where strength mattered and responsibility wasn't optional. But cinema is an illusion, and illusions are built on sacrifice. Behind every fearless moment on screen was a dangerous reality that audiences never saw. While stars collected applause, there were men whose job was to absorb the pain, the risk, and sometimes the consequences meant for someone else. These men were stunt performers, athletes without fame, professionals without protection. In October of 1966, that hidden world collided violently with Hollywood's polished image on the set of a Western film called The War Wagon. What happened there was never meant to become a story. It was supposed to be processed, minimized, and forgotten. But John Wayne refused to forget. This is the story of the price of honor. In the 1950s and 1960s, filmmaking was physical in the most literal sense. There were no digital effects to soften danger, no computer-generated safety nets. If a scene required a man to leap from a moving wagon, a real man leapt. If horses charged through explosions, they did so without digital replacements. Stunt performers were expected to endure risks that modern sets would never allow. Broken bones were common. Spinal injuries were quietly accepted. Death was a possibility no one discussed openly, but everyone understood. These men trained relentlessly. They learned how to fall, how to roll, how to absorb impact. But no amount of preparation could eliminate danger entirely. Every stunt carried the possibility of catastrophic failure, and yet they showed up. They showed up because movies demanded spectacle, and spectacle demanded sacrifice. John Wayne understood this world intimately. By 1966, he had appeared in over 150 films. He had spent decades on dangerous sets, surrounded by explosions, gunfire, and runaway horses. He knew that the image audiences loved was built by men who took the hits in silence. Wayne also knew how Hollywood viewed those men. Stunt performers were not stars. They were contractors, replaceable. If one got hurt, another could be hired. Productions could not stop. Schedules could not bend. Money could not wait. That was the unspoken rule of the industry. Until the day it all went wrong. The War Wagon was designed to be a major success. It paired John Wayne with Kirk Douglas in a high-energy Western centered around an armored stagecoach carrying gold. The story required action, not just implied danger, but visible risk. Chases, fights, crashes. The production moved fast, scenes were complex, stunts were demanding. In October of 1966, during the filming of one of those action sequences, something broke. Timing failed. Movement went wrong. Horses moved faster than expected. The margin for error disappeared. In a split second, a stuntman was thrown violently from his position. There was no build-up, no dramatic pause, just impact. His neck snapped. Death was instant. The director called for the cameras to stop, but the words arrived too late. The set fell silent in a way no movie ever planned for. Crew members stood frozen, unsure of where to look or what to do. This was not a scene. This was not acting. A man had died doing exactly what the job required, risking his life so someone else could look fearless. The illusion vanished. What remained was reality. Production halted. Phones rang. Executives were notified, lawyers prepared. Somewhere far from the set, a family waited, unaware that everything was about to change. The stuntman left behind a widow and 3 children. No warning, no preparation, no protection, just loss. In Hollywood, tragedy moves quickly into accounting. Universal Pictures, the studio behind the War Wagon, now faced a problem. Not a moral problem, a logistical one. A death on set had occurred. The situation needed to be handled. Cleanly, quietly. The studio evaluated its legal exposure. They reviewed contracts. They assessed liability. Then they made an offer. $5,000. That was the value Universal assigned to the life of the man who had died making their film. Not $5,000 per year. Not long-term support. Not compensation for decades of lost income. Just $5,000. Total. To the studio, it was a settlement. A cost to be minimized. A number small enough to make the problem go away. To the widow, it was devastating. Funeral expenses alone would consume most of it. The future, rent, food, education for 3 children, remained unanswered. The message was clear. Once the cameras stopped, the man no longer mattered. John Wayne did not immediately know what Universal had offered. But when the information reached him, it hit hard. Wayne had built his career playing men who stood by a code, men who protected those under them, men who didn't walk away from responsibility. This wasn't a public relations issue. This wasn't about contracts. This was personal. Wayne understood the truth the industry preferred to ignore. That stuntman had died being him. The audience would never know the man's name. They would see John Wayne on screen, untouched, heroic. Wayne believed that if someone stood in for you in danger, you owed them loyalty when it mattered. And $5,000 was not loyalty. It was an insult. Wayne didn't argue through agents. He didn't issue statements. He didn't wait for permission. He acted. Quietly, John Wayne went into his own pocket. No cameras followed, no headlines announced it. Wayne personally delivered $50,000 to the widow. In 1966, $50,000 was a fortune. It represented years of income, stability, a future that had almost been erased. But Wayne understood something deeper. Money alone wasn't enough. Charity helped the immediate pain. It didn't address the injustice. Because the real issue wasn't the widow. It was the system. John Wayne had leverage. And in Hollywood, leverage is power. He was one of the biggest box office stars in the world. His name could open movies. His absence could sink them. Universal Pictures needed John Wayne far more than John Wayne needed Universal Pictures. So Wayne confronted the studio. He didn't plead, he didn't negotiate, he demanded. And because of his pressure, Universal was forced to change its position. The studio agreed to provide the widow with a monthly stipend for the rest of her life. Not because the studio suddenly found compassion. Because John Wayne made it impossible not to. Why did he do it? Because Wayne believed leadership came with obligation. He believed that hierarchy meant protection flowed downward, not just profits upward. That the men who made the image possible deserved loyalty in return. To Wayne, a film set was not just a workplace. It was a chain of trust. If someone risked their body so you could remain untouched, you owed them more than applause. He believed honor didn't end when the cameras stopped rolling. The War Wagon was released and became a success. Audiences saw thrilling action, daring feats, and familiar heroism. They never saw what happened behind the scenes. But the impact of that day didn't disappear. The stunt industry slowly began to change. Protections increased. Unions gained strength. Safety standards improved. Death became harder to ignore. The era of disposable stuntmen began to fade. John Wayne didn't start that movement alone, but he exposed a truth Hollywood could no longer hide. That the people behind the illusion were human, and that their lives mattered. John Wayne's legacy will always be debated. But on one day in 1966, when a corporation tried to reduce a man's life to a number, Wayne refused. Hollywood offered $5,000. John Wayne offered dignity, because honor isn't something you say. It's something you pay for, and when walking away would be cheaper. And sometimes the most heroic act a man ever performs happens when no one is watching.